autumn of 1882, beneath the gaslit haze of Manhattan's Lower East Side, a child was born into ambiguity. His name at first was George de Valera. The records would later shift, morphing into Edward, then Éamon. His mother, Catherine Call, was Irish. His father, a mystery, perhaps Spanish, perhaps imagined. The boy's birthplace, New York City, would become both shield and shadow. How does a man begin life as a question? At age 2, Éamon was sent across the Atlantic to Brewery, County Limerick. There, among the damp stone cottages and the rhythm of rural toil, he was raised by his grandmother and uncle. His American birth faded into myth, replaced by the cadence of Irish speech and the weight of Irish soil. Was he American by birth or Irish by soul? His early education was steeped in Catholic discipline and mathematical precision. A gifted student, he found solace in numbers, order in a world that had offered him little clarity. Yet, even in the quiet of equations, the question of identity lingered. Can logic reconcile a fractured origin? As a young man, de Valera joined the Gaelic League, embracing the Irish language and shedding the anglicised remnants of his name. Edward became Éamon. The transformation was not cosmetic, it was ideological. In a colonised land, names were acts of rebellion. What power lies in choosing who you are? His American citizenship would later save him from execution after the Easter Rising. British hesitation over killing a US citizen gave him reprieve. But the irony was sharp. He had lived in Ireland nearly all his life. Was survival a matter of paperwork or providence? In 1919, de Valera returned to America, not as a child, but as the self-declared President of the Irish Republic. He arrived at the Waldorf Astoria, greeted by cheering crowds and skeptical diplomats. The land of his birth now became the stage for his revolution. Can a man reclaim a birthplace he barely knew? He toured the country, raising funds and forging alliances. In Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, he was hailed as the Irish Lincoln. Yet, behind the applause, tensions brewed. Irish-American leaders questioned his tactics, his legitimacy, even his sincerity. Was he a symbol or a strategist? In Wisconsin, he was made an honorary chief of the Chippewa Nation, a gesture of solidarity between oppressed peoples. He wore the headdress with solemn pride. It was theatrical, yes, but also poignant. What does it mean to be adopted by another struggle? The American tour was both triumph and trial. He raised millions but fractured alliances. His insistence on Irish sovereignty clashed with the cautious diplomacy of Irish American organizations. Was purity of vision worth the price of unity? As he sailed back to Ireland, the Atlantic seemed less a divide than a mirror. In both lands, he had stirred hearts and provoked minds, yet the question of origin remained unresolved. Was Éamon de Valera a man of two nations or of none? His American birth would haunt and help him throughout his life. It was invoked in debates, in trials, in biographies. But for de Valera, identity was not inherited, it was constructed. Can a man become the myth he needs to be? And so begins the story of Éamon de Valera, not with certainty, but with contradiction. From tenement to Taoiseach, his journey defies simplicity. What happens when a man, born in exile, returns to lead a nation? The Atlantic wind carries more than salt and spray, it carries memory. In the quiet hours of dusk, Éamon de Valera's journey becomes a meditation on belonging. Born in a city of strangers and raised in a land shaped by longing, he stitched together a life from fragments. His origins stretch across an ocean, but his identity was carefully constructed in the fields of Ireland. De Valera's American birth was not a cradle of comfort, but a silent cipher. It shielded him from death, provided opportunity, and haunted his public life with ambiguity. He never romanticized it, choosing instead to build his Irishness through action and resolve. Every speech, law, and principle became another stone in the foundation of the nation he envisioned. Despite this complex origin, de Valera shaped Ireland's identity with unwavering purpose. He transformed contradictions into pillars: a scholar, a soldier, a statesman. Through decades of leadership, his myth grew larger than his biography. As the country found its voice, he became the quiet architect behind it. The boy from Brewery, the man born in Manhattan and the president of a republic, each chapter left behind echoes. His story concludes not with clarity, but with resonance. Across the Atlantic, the wind carries whispers of his legacy. Myth remains long after detail fades, etched into the stones and souls of a nation, still tracing its own identity. Welcome to Emerald Chronicle. Ireland's story isn't written in straight lines. It moves like the wind over the burn, shifting, echoing, alive. At Emerald Chronicle, we bring that story to life through immersive videos that explore the myths and memories, the legends, and the lived truths from the island's ancient heart to its modern soul. This is where druids walk beside rebels, where saints whisper to poets, and where folk tales breathe in the same air as buried revolutions. We cover it all, prehistory to present day, the mystical and the political, the sacred and the silenced. Every piece we share is grounded in research, shaped by real people who sift through records, old manuscripts, and the fragments of oral tradition. We use AI not to invent the past, but to give it form, to show what memory alone can't quite paint. The technology is a tool, but it's the human voice, the human care that drives everything we do. And when you're ready to explore, you'll find something truly special. Playlists crafted like chapters in a living book, stories of forgotten voices, quiet uprisings, spiritual reckonings, lost kingdoms, distant echoes, and the ever-burning flame of resistance. Each one offers a new way in, a fresh rhythm, a pulse beneath the surface. Because Ireland's past was never just history, it was always poetry, wrapped in silence, waiting to be heard. And now, you're here. Welcome to the Chronicle. Let the story begin.